Hello, friends. Game 1 in the books. NBA Finals underway. The Toronto Raptors take first blood from the Golden State Warriors. Game 1 was enjoyable to watch, honestly. And obviously, there's a lot of things coming out of Game 1. You know, overreaction. I mean, it's kind of obvious. It's kind of predictable that people are going to start saying certain things. I had friends of mine that thought this would be a sweep. A Warriors sweep, in fact, which I said that was ridiculous because I think you're not showing respect to the Golden State Warriors. And a lot of things to take away from Game 1. Nothing that I would say that right now that would be permanent. Nothing that I would say right now that nothing is definitive. But it was important for Toronto to immediately, stamp their claim that they belong here. It was I thought it was very important for the Raptors to make sure to take this game. And in fact, I will go so far as to say this. With reports now about Kevin Durant possibly being available for Games 3 or 4, Game 2 is still a must-win, in my opinion, because you want the cushion that in the event Durant does come back, or the Warriors would probably win Games 3 and 4 in Oracle, in the Bay, that at least you can say, well, we took the first 2 games, and we could probably win Game 5 also, if necessary, at home, and then you just need 2 games, one of the next 2 games to win the series. So I think Game 2, in my opinion, is a must-win for the Raptors. Now, people are going to say, oh, EJ, you're insane. There's no way that Game 2 should be a must-win when the series has started, especially when you got 1-0. But when you consider all the circumstances surrounding the series, Kevin Durant is still the ace in the hole that the Warriors do have. Now, obviously, we don't know how healthy he'll be, and I thought that what would happen is that the Warriors will keep Durant on the shelf as long as possible, and if they need him in case of an emergency, if they're down 0-2, obviously, then you bring him back in the series, and then, do what you gotta do. Assuming that he is at least 80% of Kevin Durant to play. Last night they could use him, obviously. Steph had a decent game. Clay had moments, but he wasn't really Clay. Draymond had a triple-double last night, but he was not as effective as Draymond has been in the last 5 games. So, clearly there is something to be said about Durant not being there, that the Warriors, I'm sure, miss. But it's just Game 1. But this is why I think Game 2 is a must-win. Because if the Warriors win Game 2, then the finals immediately resets already. And now it's best of 5 series with the Warriors having home court advantage. So, nice performance from the Warriors, from the Raptors rather. Pascal Siakam showed out. Definitely his first NBA Finals, game of his career. And obviously 14-17. Does he do that again? I don't know. Potentially could, but imagine the Raptors won this game with Kyle Lowry having a really bad offensive game. Kawhi Leonard not really playing like Kawhi Leonard. And yet it was guys like Siakam and guys like Danny Green, who's back off his schneid, and guys like Serge Ibaka and Marc Gasol having big games. That's the kind of the balance that's kind of the balance that the Raptors need to win this series. And if you're telling me they can win games with Kawhi Leonard not being the Kawhi we've seen in this entire playoff run, assuming that Kevin Durant's out for a majority of the series, that's a bad sign for the Warriors. Another thing I'm worried about the Warriors, too, especially, is the injuries. Andre Iguodala got hurt last night. Obviously, we'll hear about his status in the coming days prior to Game 2. There's a lot of concern for the Warriors on that end because let's assume Durant's not available until Games 3 or Games 4, depending on, again, the severity of the injury. We still don't know. Clearly, obviously, and it's not for us to know. It's us to know when we need to know. Their depth, the Warriors' depth isn't. And look, people say they're so deep. They got Livingston, and they got guys that've been there before, but they're not as good as they were 3-4 years ago. So that depth we've always spoke about for the last 4 or 5 years, with the Warriors is not as good as they were in the onset. They're all older, and Iguodala is probably the best guy off the bench. And if he's not available to play in these games, or certainly not 100%, and you saw in the Cavs series when the year they lost to Cleveland, when LeBron won his title in Cleveland, that when certain guys are not in the lineup, it does leave that team exposed. So, again, Game 1 in the books. Toronto Raptors win the first blood. And a lot of things that are very interesting going to Game 2. We'll see how it plays out. But this is going to be a long series, I think. This is going to go 6 or 7 games, I think. So that's just that.